Hearing about electrolyzed reduced water can sound like the dream, right? And I know it's something I've talked about many times on my channel, and it's a water that I recommend. However, there are specifically three dangers, three safety concerns you must know about when it comes to this water. And so I'm going to share those with you and break down exactly what they are, why they're a safety concern, and what you can do about it to ensure that you're not getting yourself injured, you're not harming your health when it comes to drinking electrolyzed reduced water. If you have not met me, my name is L'Apprentice Demand, and I am all about water and showing people how to drink the best water for their health. And so really quick, I'm going to minimize myself. So electrolyzed reduced water, of course, if you're doing any research, you're doing it through PubMed, all right? You're not doing it through Google, you're doing it through PubMed. And this is an article that a lot of people hit me with when I tell them, oh, yeah, you just drink electrolyzed reduced water. They just hit me with this and they walk away, right? So in an effort to start providing studies on the benefits of electrolyzed reduced water and some of the things that we can actually find here on PubMed, I decided, you know what, why not start with the one that everybody's afraid of and that people get hit with the most. Okay, so I'm going to break down all the different parts, and specifically really three things you need to look out for when it comes to electrolyzed reduced water and the safety concerns, right? Now, of course, we're here on PubMed, we're looking at this study on electrolyzed reduced water, and this is just an abstract, right? So if you want to ever see the full study that they've done, you can always click right here on the DOI. I'm gonna go ahead and click that now. And then usually it brings up the full study, okay? So we're gonna skip over to abstract, and the cool thing about this study is it talks about the pros, the cons, and everything, and we're just gonna drop down to some of the safety concerns, which actually starts in the second section, okay? And when we scroll down, the very first one we're talking about here is the safety of high pH water. And of course, you can read this for yourself. I'm not going to take the full time in this video. I'm going to highlight some specific things, right? Mainly here, we're talking about the ingestion of water with pHs of higher than 9.5, right? This is something that comes up because it actually says it right here. We talk about, although discouraged by commercial companies, several alternative practitioners recommend drinking so-called strong alkaline waters for heartburn, indigestion, food poisoning, stomach flu, arthritis, gout, muscle soreness, injuries, migraines, and etc., right? And of course, you can do what you want. Be mindful of that though. Just be aware of what's going on when it comes to following alternative practitioners who share that. You'll never hear me tell you to do that. I will always recommend to drink the setting that is meant for consumption on your device. Another thing that brings up here is in the second paragraph, or rather the third paragraph here, it also brings up that only the settings of machine at 9 or 9.5, consumers may still be ingesting water above 10 on a daily basis. And this could be because of a few things. This could be because, let me see, although most water ionizers allow the user to set a desired pH, these settings only change the applied voltage to the electrodes, where the higher pH setting has a greater applied voltage, right? They do not ensure that the pH produced and the pH indicated is the pH indicated by the direct setting. And this is because they don't have an internal electrode or feedback software, which arguably makes these buttons misleading, okay? Lastly, another thing that brings up is the speed, right? So we're looking here and we're talking about people who are taking the mineral concentration of the water and slowing the flow rate down to a trickle, which can also get to a pH above a 12, right? So that's the first one, safety of high pH water. My recommendation, when you follow certain practitioners, they're gonna give you advice, and that's up to you if you choose to take it. That's based on a level of trust. And also the devices that they recommend. This article is a blanket statement across all ionizing devices, so you just wanna be mindful of that and be careful of what you listen to there. As far as the second one, some devices saying 9.5 and actually not having, I guess, a regulator to see if it actually produces 9.5 or if it produces more. You want to be careful what ionizer you decide to go with, right? There's a lot of them out on the market, on Amazon, on eBay, on different sites where they claim that it does specifically a 9.5 pH, right? And it can do more, right? The one that I recommend can do more, but of course they are not meant for human consumption. It's not meant for drinking. And the one that I recommend actually has a setting to where when you actually press the 9.5 or you press any of the waters, it actually has a blink that happens, right? A lot of people don't know this. This is something that I teach from clients who purchase through me, but there's actually a time limit on when you're supposed to start consuming the water. So know the settings of your device and how it works. And you may not have, I don't know, depending on what you're purchasing, you may not have that kind of a setting to where you don't drink it immediately. You wait until it tells you to drink it, right? Because you want to ensure that you have a unit or a device that not only produces that pH, and yes, it is using the voltage to create that electrical charge, but that it stabilizes at the right spot, and it can check that to make sure that you're actually drinking the right pH water. So keep that in mind. Know your device before you go off and just immediately start, I guess, turning on the water, and the moment the water comes out, you're taking in whatever pH you think it may be. Because in the beginning, that's normally not the case. It's trying to stabilize based on the water flow rate, the amount of minerals you have, and electrical charge that's putting on the plates, right? So it has to factor in those things. So if you're taking your water, you're immediately just turning it on and consuming it, I promise you, whatever pH you think you pressed, you're not getting that immediately. It's going to take, I'm not going to say it takes like 3 minutes or anything to stabilize, but just depending on your unit, it may take a little bit of time to stabilize. And so if you're not looking at the directions, if there are directions for that, then you're doing yourself a disservice. Last but not least, slowing down the water speed. Once again, this is something that your company, whichever device you decide to get, they should let you know the specific water speed. And I know that people may slow it down for their own personal reasons. They want the water to hit the plates more so you get more of the molecular hydrogen, but that can lead to challenges as well. So just be really mindful. And if you're just out buying one, once again through Amazon or through one of these other places, you don't really know what you're getting, and you just have to go off of the instructions and guidance that's there, right? As opposed to having a distributor or someone who actually knows the system and how it works that can actually train you on how to use it properly, so you don't go through the challenges of having high pH water. So that is the first one, having a high pH water. Let's go ahead and jump into our second safety concern. All right, the second safety concern is all about the electrodes and the metal degrading from the plates or whatever they're using for electrolysis. Right here, we're talking about PNPs, which is specifically the amount of platinum nanoparticles that are leaching off of the plates after electrolysis, right? And this could be a very dangerous thing simply because the toxicity that comes up when this happens, it can affect your heart, right? So that way your heart is beating irregularly. This can also damage the kidney and livers because of the particles in the water, the platinum, and it's simply not good for us long term. And as you see here, when we actually look in the article, it talks about life-threatening cardiac conduction block, and once again, that's involving the heart. And while they say it does vary in size, but it can induce great damage upon your liver and kidneys. And we're talking about human cells resulting in DNA damage and activation of P53. A lot of different things, including this study here where it says ingestion of water contains platinum led to an acute hepatic disturbance in healthy humans, right? So once again, that is the liver, right? And we're having damages there. One of the things that notes is that this seems to happen and only appear during continual electrolysis, meaning you're running the water for long periods of time, for long periods of time. In addition to that, it says this concern increases when the source water contains more minerals, when the applied voltage increases, once again, right, trying to go above the alkaline setting, and when the flow rate is slowed down to allow the longer electrolysis time and elevate electrode temperatures, right? And that's what's going to help break down the plates. For the second one, we're talking about the degradation of the plates, right? Not only these things, but you have to, once again, be careful of the devices that you get as far as what you're using to make your electrolyzed reduced water. If you have watched the masterclass and you trust what I recommend, that I've been drinking for 5 years, the company I recommend has been out for 50 years. They've been doing this a long time, and it is a Japanese certified medical device. A Japanese certified medical device. What does that mean? That means that it is a medical device used in hospitals in Japan. Okay? They are not going to take something that is used in the hospitals and make it to where it leaches minerals, to where it leaches platinum, right? So it's been thoroughly tested, regulated, and actually, to be honest, I'm pretty sure this study comes from Japan. All right, so once again, if you're choosing to get something from Amazon, once again, be mindful of what you're getting. You want something that is medical grade titanium dipped in medical grade platinum, and there's different alloys that people make because they're trying to save money on what you're getting, right? So we really want to be careful. We really want to be mindful of what we're getting, and this is our health involved. So why why not get the best, right? You're trying to save money thinking that you're getting a discount or you think you're getting a deal, and you're really just putting your health at risk. Like I would save the money until you're ready to afford something that is worth it, right? Like ultimately that's what I would kind of do. And then once again, we kind of talked about the flow rates, slowing down the flow. And then also one of the things that it talked about was the amount of minerals in the water. You want to ensure that you have a filter, right? A high quality filter, not like, I can't speak for the different ionizers out there, right? But even the one I recommend, I don't use solely that filter because it's only certified to do so much, right? And the right filter will actually ensure that you get enough. It's not completely cut off all the minerals, but it's going to allow some of the minerals that you need to go through for electrolysis, but it's not going to let everything go through. It's going to allow a healthy amount, right? And so you really want to be on the lookout for that. If your water, your source water, your tap water is heavy in minerals, then this is another thing that can lead to that process happening, right? So keep those things in mind as well. Let's go ahead and jump into our third safety concern when it comes to this electrolyzed reduced water. All right, when we get down to the third thing, we're talking about hyperkalemia, okay? So hyperkalemia is when you have too much potassium in the blood. And when they actually bring up this article, they really don't understand how it happens, right? It doesn't make sense for it to be happening, especially with alkaline waters, but they are basing it on a couple of things. One is, of course, we're consuming water with a pH higher than 10. And then the other thing is it's potentially happening due to, once again, the degradation of the plates and too much metal getting into the blood and getting into the body, right? So this one's pretty easy. And actually, when I scroll down, it actually talks about, let's see, the prevalence of hyperkalemia is well recognized, which is why Japanese and Korean regulations on alkaline water ionizers mandate that the pH of the alkaline drinking water should not exceed 9.8 pH. Similarly, the official owner and manual of Enagic states when drinking Kangen water adjusts. So Kangen water is the brand name of the water that comes out of their specific ionizers, right? Adjust the pH value of 9.5 or lower. It is not recommended to drink water with a pH over 10. Check the pH regularly. It also states do not drink Kangen water if you have kidney problems such as kidney failure or trouble processing potassium. Clearly, Enagic is a leader in water ionizers, and they're looking out for you, right? So keep that in mind. And then the feedback of the pH above 10 and the cell damage, right? So that is really going to happen once again if you're using a cheap ionizer. If you're using a cheap ionizer, one that is not medically certified, one that does not have the certifications from third parties sharing that it's a great ionizer to use. And I know it can be tough to find one simply because you go on Amazon and people can make up their own awards. They go, oh, we got an award for being one of the best ionizers, right? We have an award for our safety and all that type of stuff. It can really be tough, and even the reviews there can be misleading, right? So it's a lot of work, and I'm not saying that's easy, but we just really got to do our homework. We can't go around trying to pick something just because of the reviews or the price. You really want to get with someone that you trust, someone who probably has the device that you have, right? Or has a device and is willing to share with you their experience, right? And what's going on. There is one bonus one I want to share, and that is the safety of the microbiota, right? And essentially when I look at this, and I actually went through this part of the study, this is essentially water that has come out of a device where bacteria, mold, where you had those things in the lines where it wasn't cleaned properly. And ultimately, when you don't have a clean ionizer and you're trusting the idea that it has a self-clean feature, right? We think that's good, right? And the bacteria and mold and the organisms that are growing in the lines and all that type of stuff, when we give it electrolysis, when we give it that electrical charge, we're making that stuff more bioavailable in the body. We're giving it life. It's like Frankenstein. It's like it's alive. Like the moment we give it that charge, like it's alive. And we're making it more bioavailable in our gut, in our body. And that can lead to health challenges. So what can we do here? We want to ensure that if we haven't bought our ionizer yet, we want to ensure that if it has a self-clean feature, I'm not a fan of them, to be honest. If it has a self-clean feature, I'm not a fan because I don't know how well it's going to clean because it doesn't necessarily know my source water, right? So I prefer to have a way of being able to manually clean it. Not just the plates, not just the inside, but the hoses as well. We want one that we can manually clean. The second thing is, actually, let me just share with you, the one I recommend, there's multiple cleanings that happen. One, it happens during every 15 minutes of use. It happens when so many gallons have went through the ionizer. Then I have a manual clean that I do where I'm able to clean through all of the, not only just the plates, but the hoses as well, all the way through the discharge hoses. And on top of that, we have a clean where we send it into the company and they clean it for us, right? They literally take it apart, clean it, look over everything, and then send it back, right? So if you don't have all of those features, I'm not saying that you have a bad ionizer, but I want to ensure that it's good and that I don't have things like these gut issues where microorganisms are in our gut. I don't need that happening, right? So people who have worked with me, I teach them and I share with them the resources and how to go about doing this. And of course, they have me for any kind of help, anything that they need help with, and how to go about these processes. And because of that, people have devices that have lasted 25, 35, even 40 years. So there you have it. We talked about 3, and actually I gave you a bonus one with the gut microbiota. And so ultimately, here's the things we need to look at. The safety pH of the water. If you're getting a device, make sure that you know that it gets to 9.5 and it doesn't go over 10, right? Make sure that we're slowing down the water, not slowing down the water, but we're running it at a normal speed. And if we're taking the advice of our practitioners, that we're doing it with not just any device, but one that we trust. I'm not saying to not take their advice. I'm not a medical professional, right? But if we're taking their advice, we're taking it with something that we trust, and we're asking these questions, right? Ask them these questions. How many clients have you had that have had concerns about safety of their pH water, right? How many clients have you had success, right? And see if you can talk to them and find out their feedback, their thoughts, right? Next up, I would not get an ionizer from a place that's not reputable, right? I'm not a fan of eBay. I'm not a fan of those kinds of places, Facebook Marketplace, all that stuff, because you don't know what you're getting. I think I shared a story about this, or I did a video about this a few weeks ago. Someone who purchased from one of these places thinking that they were getting a discount, and they don't know what they got. Like, you don't know the quality of the material. You don't know or understand if it's clean, what they did to it. Like, all those things I wouldn't trust, especially when it comes to our health. Next up, I don't care if you're in America or Canada, we have so much junk in our water, and you cannot rely solely on the filter in your ionizer to remove everything, right? I would not solely trust that. So I recommend that you could talk with your company, see what they want, see what they recommend, but I recommend having a filter before your ionizer. It's gonna keep the life of your plates, keep the life of your device, and ensure that you reduce, I won't say completely stop, but mitigate the challenges that you can run into with having too much metal in your water, right? Of course, you get what you pay for. So if you're buying a cheap device, you are very likely to have metal that's going to break off into your water. So anyone who's watched my masterclass, which I highly recommend watching, I trust a Japanese certified medical water device. Why? Because it's used in hospitals. Why? Because it went through all the different tests, and it's used as a way of treating people and helping people improve their health, get to what's the word? It is homeostasis, right? If your ionizer doesn't do that, if they're not used in hospitals, if they don't have those reviews and studies and things that have happened, I don't know what to tell you. Good luck. And of course, if you got one already, make sure you're cleaning it regularly. Right? I don't trust the auto clean feature. See if there's a way, contact your company to see if there's a way you can manually clean it. Because I promise you, there's places where if you're getting it from another source where the hoses aren't clean, and then you're gonna end up with that gut issue, right? I think I hit on all the notes. Let me know if I missed anything. And of course, if you're curious about what I recommend, check out the masterclass. I break down everything, and it gives you a way of connecting with me, and I share stories, testimonials, all kinds of stuff, right? Thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm going to do more of these often where I'm breaking down the studies. So let me know what you think. Was it good? Was it bad? I want to break these down in the layman's terms so we can all understand what we're drinking, what we're consuming, and how it can help. All right. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.